Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for visiting Drawing with Mike. This morning, warm-up is going to be of a very recognizable character from the Disney universe. I don't do a lot of Disney characters, however, I do get a lot of requests to do Disney characters. I like doing a lot of characters of my own design, and also using a lot of online reference, kind of a mishmash of different characters. So even though Disney characters are fun to draw, there are a lot of constraints with regards to how they're designed and you know, having them being recognizable. So this morning I'm going to do Minnie Mouse. I've done Minnie Mouse before, quite a few times. Whenever I was an in-house contractor over at Walt Disney Consumer Products here in Orlando and over in Kissimmee, Lake Buena Vista. So I am familiar with the character. However, I don't have a huge amount of experience doing her, but nonetheless, I do enjoy doing Disney characters. So typically whenever you start off with either doing Mickey Mouse or Minnie Mouse, you do the head. The head is kind of the central part and also the measuring tool for doing not only Mickey Mouse but also Minnie Mouse. And what I'm doing right now is I'm just basically going to rough in the overall character design. And the way that Minnie is designed, she's very similar to Mickey, if not exactly the same. I don't know all the nuances, of course, because I'm not a you know, a trained, quote unquote trained by Disney character artist. However, just by observation, you know, and doing Mickey and Minnie for a while, I believe her nose is different. Her nose is a little bit different. Here we're gonna make her kind of shouting. She's gonna be kind of upset. And two, the nose, I don't believe is the same, you know, her nose area. So whenever you do Mickey and Minnie, you have to understand these characters have a legacy to them. Legacy being they have been around a very, very long time. And if you decide to do them, or if you decide to be part of, you know, the Disney universe, if you inspire to work for them, you have to realize that that legacy has to be upheld. The legacy of, you know, not only the attitude of Mickey and Minnie, but also, you know, everything that they represent, from purity to friendship to everything else. So whenever you do these characters, it is your responsibility to really uphold that. Now, I know that whenever you go and you become a Disney character artist, you go through, I believe it's a year of training underneath another character artist, a senior character artist. And what I like about that is the fact that you're with somebody that knows that legacy, that knows the you know, the rules, and believe me, there are a lot of rules pertaining to these particular characters, because they're more than just the characters. They're a corporate. They are a corporate identity. Whenever you see one of these characters, whether it's Mickey, whether it's Minnie, whether it's, you know, any of the Fab Five, and I think her nose is a little bit squared off, I think. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So there are guys at Disney that do this full time. They are so freaking good at it. It is hard to believe that somebody can have that much not experience, but knowledge pertaining to these characters. There are some guys and gals that know, you know, what year certain characters were, what, you know, the thicknesses of the different, here we're going to do her mask, the thicknesses of the different arms. I mean, it is absolutely phenomenal. And I give props out to the Disney artists, because I love the Disney characters, but on the same accord, I haven't sacrificed my entire career to do these. Some of you guys have, and I really give respect to that. Because if you really have to love these characters to say, hey, you know, I'm going to do my entire life drawing these characters, and that's the way it's just, you know, that's the way it's going to be. So, what have I done so far? I've established the head. I've put a little bit more details. I'm going to go ahead and rough out, you know, the rest of Minnie. The thing is with Minnie, and what a lot of people don't know about her character in particular, is she's very sweet, but she's also got, here we're going to draw the bow. It needs to come around the eye socket a little bit, so it's going to come up. She's very sweet, but also she's very commanding. She's a very strong character. If any of you guys have ever seen, I forget the name of it, but it has to do with, it's a Christmas special, and between Daisy and Minnie, that rivalry that that really came out in that episode was absolutely phenomenal. It really showed the character base of who Minnie was, and of course Daisy is kind of a reflection of Donald, and the fact that she's got sweetness to her, but she also has a lot of tude. and you know, they market Mickey as being very, how do I say, very not submissive, because that's kind of a negative connotation. She's got a very strong character to her, but also it's a very sweet character. So anyway, as I continue on and talk randomly. Okay, so her bow, we get a little bit of things coming here. So I watched, see her shoulder. I want to have some attitude, so her shoulder's got to come up. So whenever I think her shoulder, she's so frustrated. She's like, you know, Mickey. And you get this line of action that comes all the way down and accentuates her hip area. And it's like all that force is directed right here. It's like she's shoving down, you know, with her wrists like this. And you can feel that tension. And you have her bean, because whenever you do these characters, it's based basically on a really simple set of shapes. You have the, you know, the bean shape that comes around like this, and you have the head, and you've got these, you know, these really big, this is actually a little bit too long, so it needs to come like right here. Right, there we go. Let's see. Like this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do her bean real quick. And again, there are going to be inconsistencies because I don't draw this particular character all the time. And, you know, I am merely using online reference from character model sheets. If some of you don't realize, the big studios have, you know, these established characters, especially these, have what are known as model sheets, character model sheets. And it's very interesting because a lot of times whenever you do something like this and her hand comes out like this, you know, and a character artist will see it, and he'll definitely look at that and he'll go, wow, that's off model. Because there are established parameters for these characters that adhere to standards set by the company and, you know, the character artist. So we're going to have her hand come around. And what's nice about characters that Disney does is there's always a lot of reference, but believe it or not, in the last, I'd say, few years, you know, they've really been pushing the envelope on these characters. You know, I was hired to really kind of push the envelope of Mickey Mouse in a in a set of renderings and concept drawings and stuff of Mickey that really push that envelope of what's acceptable and being on model. And I'm sure that they're constantly looking for different types of characters. So even though your character might not be on model per se, there is a possibility that, you know, there could be some validity to it, because again, Disney's always looking for that next, you know, next style. And if you ever go to, you know, like We're going to have her hand come around because she's got a thumb that comes up, it comes around. You know, to Disney.com or Disney Store, and you see some of the stuff they're doing now. So I've got her shoulder up, and it's really haunched here. We're going to have her come right here. This is a little bit too pointy. And we're going to have her other shoulder come around, and it's going to come out right about there. Okay. If you see, I've got these bottom right here. Since her arms are going to be like this, I'm going to have the bottom of this come around right there. And I'm going to have here, and it's going to be straight. Because again, and two, you know, I'm going to have this come around. I don't know all of the super nuances, like I said, of these characters. I'm just doing kind of a traditional, you know, Minnie Mouse, showing a little bit of attitude, a little bit of tude. And here's her belt, and here's her dress. Her dress, depending on which one you do, has these little frillidoos that come out. I call them frillidoos. I don't know what they're called. We'll just call them frillidoos. Does that sound good? And here's her little belly comes out like this, and here's a frilladoo right here. And this frilladoo comes up, and it comes out. But like I was saying, you know, they're really interested in exploring, and this comes around, different aspects of these characters because they've been around so long. So you know, changing with the times, you know, Walt always said that his parks were never finished, you know, and I think that he's, and that whole organization, they're always looking to better themselves. And that's another thing I like about Disney, is they're always looking to better themselves. So we got to do her ears. Another fascinating thing about Minnie Mouse, about the Mickey and Minnie's, is the fact that typically, let's see, we got the ears. See, this ear comes right here, and the other one isn't too far behind. And typically, you have to show both the ears. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come here. I'm going to show the other one kind of hidden. It's going to come around here. Okay. Here's the back of Minnie's head. We're going to shade this in a little bit. Okay. We're going to have a line because we have this bow. The bow comes up, but you can't really have that impeding her head because you always have that silhouette. The silhouette of Minnie is extremely important, and of Mickey, because whenever you start putting clothes on them, you start destroying that silhouette. The silhouette being the character shape. Okay. Now this silhouette isn't very well defined because I've got her arms in close right here. That's why you really have to focus on the gesture. So you got her hips, and look, now watch. So I've got the bean established. I can see the bean here, and here's her head. Here's that line of action. It comes down, and it follows her spine, and it goes to the back of her legs, and in her buttocks area. And then that line of action is going to come down, and it's going to form the other leg. Now, Minnie's feet aren't giant. It's her shoes. Okay? Her shoes are quite large, so I need to watch the relative relationship between these two. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and do these legs really quick. Here's that little frilladoo. It's not a real word. Here's a little glove that comes down. A little side note: the thickness of her arms right here is roughly the same thickness, and I think it's 3.5. 1, 2, 3.25. I don't know what Minnie is as far as heads high. I think she's 3.5. I'm gonna have some Disney artists that are gonna be so mad at me. Minnie is 4 heads high, moron. Oh, okay. But what's really nice about doing this character is the sweeping flow of the lines that occur. I'm gonna get the other leg right here. And it's funny whenever I can hear Mickey Ha, ha, gosh, ha, sorry, Minnie. I can hear him say this. You know, I read something one time, and I'm sure that some of you Disney guys are going to be, oops, that's a horrible line right there. I'm sure you Disney guys are going to tell me otherwise. That Mickey and Minnie are married, but that's married in the real world. However, in the Disney world, they are just dating. But in the real world, they're married because, you know, Mickey and Minnie are real, right? Yeah, I don't know about that. So her shoes, basically, to do her shoes, you have these nice sweeping ovals that come down. Okay, and this I'm going to tell you right now, this leg is too long. Okay, so it needs to come up. So the oval's here. And it comes down. And it comes up. All right. I met a guy at Disney Consumer Products. I'm not going to say his name. And I'm not sure he watches my channel or not. But he was absolutely insane, incredible at doing these characters. He's responsible for so many of the different products in the Disney universe. He's just absolutely phenomenal. First time I saw his name, I didn't, yeah, this leg is too long. These legs are too long. So I need to go here. I didn't know how to pronounce his name. But once you get to know him, then it rolls off the tongue really nice. Phenomenal artist. I mean, here's the deal. Whenever you meet some of these people in their environment, whenever you meet the animals in the wild and you submerge yourself into their environment, you get to see the other side of the equation. It's hard to describe because I know a lot of people will view the Disney universe with contempt. But the plain fact of the matter is there are really a lot of good people there. A lot of good people, not only artistically speaking, creatively speaking. They've got good hearts to them. And I'm sure this is pretty much the standard in all the companies out there. There's always going to be good eggs and bad eggs. Yeah, she's a little bit long. Just so you know, these legs are probably about 25% too long. However, in the context of squash and stretch, okay, because you're going to have squash and you're going to have stretch, I've elongated her gait here, okay, to basically elongate her to accentuate this pose. Make sense? But to experience these people in their environment was such a joy, you know. I'm doing a lot of stuff right now for Warner Brothers and Universal Studios, so I haven't been able to go back and do much for Disney, but my experience there was absolutely wonderful because whenever I was there, you didn't have a lot of people that didn't want to help you. They want to help you. And that's a really big thing for me, for companies. And they're always learning. They always had classes. They always had, classes to teach you if you wanted to learn characters, if you wanted to learn, just about anything. I mean, they have Photoshop classes, and that was a really cool that environment to learn. For those of you who are on my channel and you reach this particular video by doing keyword search Minnie Mouse or Disney characters or anything like that, just know that if you're interested in working for the Disney company, there's always two sides to a company, but I did get to see both sides, the positive and the negative. But I think overall, see too, this line right here, this line of action comes around here. Her mask needs to be adjusted just slightly up to here. I'll kind of mess that up a little bit. Disney's a great company to work for. You sacrificed a lot to be there, but on the other hand, they do take care of their employees on multiple facets. You have the opportunity to work on characters, legacy characters that have a history to them. I mean, drawing Mickey Mouse for the company that created Mickey Mouse was an incredible opportunity for me. I really enjoyed it. See, we got a little bit of comes down here. And, you know, don't ever think that Disney doesn't look at all aspects of their characters and what they're doing. They're constantly changing, they're constantly developing and evolving. But going back to the guy that I had the opportunity to meet, it was just fascinating. It's fascinating to talk to somebody. And of course, I can say, oh, they're just like everybody else. They're human beings as well, which they are. I got to give her lashes. There's 3 lashes on Minnie. 1, 2, 3. And that's what kind of makes her. I got to make sure I get these over here. 1, 2, 3. I did actually have the opportunity to visit, or not visit, but talk with one of the guys who worked on The Lion King, and he was absolutely awesome. And it's funny because, you know, those are the movies that I recall as being the pivotal movies that kind of pushed me into the genre of art. And, you know, you're like, you kind of freak out. You have that moment. If anybody's ever met anybody that's famous, that they idolize, I don't idolize be frank with you, I don't idolize famous people. Guys, I could care less if you've been in a movie. Where it gets my griddle is whenever you meet somebody that is in the discipline that you love, such as art. And I got to meet some of the guys and gals that worked on The Lion King, that worked on Beauty and the Beast, Pocahontas, and the guy that I was talking to worked on Lion King. He worked on Pocahontas, and he worked on Lilo and Stitch. And to see that, and to meet these people, and to talk with them, was just fun. You know? And you're like, so you worked on Lion King? He's like, yeah. I mean, just so nonchalantly. I'm like, all right, dude. You have changed the course of my life, and I'm sure many others. So this is Minnie Mouse. I'm going to go ahead and put you on time lapse as I ink her really quick. I'm going to use, today we're using the Sakura. Again, it's a Sakura paint marker. This is a great marker because it's got a brush, okay? And you can have variation of line. Now, I did the construction method. Again, it shows basically the head. The head is the basis and the measuring tool for the rest of the body. This is an established character, so I did use a model sheet to get her proportions, and then I elongated on a stretch to accentuate her pose. You see, whenever I look at her, I'm thinking rhythm and flow. So I've got my line of action that comes from the top left-hand side. It comes all the way down. It follows the outer part of her buttocks, and it goes and it establishes the point of gravity right here. You have this line right here. This is basically where her right foot is. And you have this line that comes up, the straight line. It balances her. She's not falling over. She's just at that that point where she's fixing to fall over, but she's like, ah, Mickey! And she's just so mad. And I can hear it in my head. You know, Mickey's like, ah, gosh, Minnie, I didn't mean to hurt you. You know, and you can look at that and you can say, man, I can really feel that character. I can feel the attitude. Or, you know, maybe she's talking to Daisy and Daisy has just pushed her buttons one last time. Daisy! My goodness! Why did you have to go off and do that? And, you know, also utilizing construction method, the head is a measurement for the rest of the body. And I showed you guys earlier, and you guys can look this up online because there's a lot of resources for these characters online, classic model sheets. And one of the things that I learned very interestingly is that whenever animators are teaching or character artists are teaching the interns or whoever is, you know, training to be a character artist, a lot of times what they'll do is they'll have the character artist, the trainee, trace over the existing pose to kind of get the rhythm and flow and the feel of the character and the attitude. And then they'll do part of the character, and then they'll maybe another pose, and they'll have you do an in between this pose and this pose, and they'll, you know, the progression from sitting to midway standing to complete standing to key pose, which would be the last pose, which would be really dynamic. And that's kind of the way that, you know, they train them and teach them. And also quantity. You're not going to learn how to draw these characters unless you draw them all the time. I haven't drawn any Disney characters for a while. This is the first one in a while. But when I was over at, you know, doing stuff for Disney and some other vendors, I do have a familiarity with these particular characters. So anyway, this is Minnie Mouse in kind of an attitude, staunch. We're going to lower her heel a little bit because I need to have that come down a little bit. Yeah, and that really grounds her. Kind of a staunch pose. This took roughly about 30 minutes to do this initial sketch. I'm gonna do a time lapse really quick, and you guys can view that. Again, if you like what you see, please like and subscribe. See, just that overlap right there of the hand, even though I knew that I was gonna sketch that, just that right there pushed that hand back on the other side of her body. So I'm gonna put you on time lapse, and you guys can enjoy, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, guys. Bye. Okay, that's it. I'm not going to go any further with her. I just wanted to keep her really loose and pretty simple. If you have any questions, just put them in the questions below. I do typically respond to questions pretty quickly if I'm not right in the middle of something or driving or anything like that. Again, you know, like and subscribe if you like what you see. Share if you want to share this stuff with somebody else. I will be posting some more how-to videos. This wasn't really a how-to draw Minnie. This was just a warm-up that kind of showed you, you know, the way that this particular character is created. You know, I am not the only person that draws this character in the world. Obviously, it's Minnie Mouse, but you know, there are other artists out there that draw it better. So if you want a better representation of that, I encourage you to look that up. But that being said, there are different ways to draw Minnie Mouse. This is just my particular way, and Mickey's pretty much the same. Of course, without, you know, the eyelashes and the bow and stuff like that. So maybe next time I'll do Mickey. I do have Mickey. I did draw Mickey a while back on this channel. If you look back, I might be doing a few more Disney characters here and there. And I have done quite a few Disney characters, from the Beast to Mickey, You know, so anyway, I'm going to do a little bit of outlining here just to kind of have her pop off the page a little bit better, give her a more graphic feel. So hopefully we'll get to another video this week. I wanted to do a digital video for you guys yesterday, but my stinking Mac, the video card is so horrible on it. I can't even run video recording software very well. So I'm going to try to figure something out, and we'll get to you guys again this week. Thank you guys, and we'll see you next time. Bye.